Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So I wanted to make a draft recap video. I did get the stream for the first 2 days. And I don't think I made a reaction for maybe the last 2 picks. I think. Or maybe I did. But this is going to be a full reaction on every pick for the Giants in this draft. So first off, let's start off what we came into this draft needing. So my number one need for this draft was quarterback. I lost a couple of subscribers because I wanted to replace the quarterback. It is what it is, folks. But that was my number one need coming in. Wide receiver, cornerback, safety, defensive tackle, and tight end. So out of these, 6 needs that I wrote down, we addressed wide receiver, we addressed cornerback, we addressed safety, and we addressed defensive tackle. So 4 out of the 6 needs that I put, so we were missing defensive tackle and also missing quarterback for what we drafted. But let's start off with the number one pick that we made first day of the draft, 6th overall pick. It were rumors that we were trying to trade up for Drake May, but the Patriots are sitting in that 3rd spot, and the Patriots are like, why would we trade out of this 3rd spot when we want Drake May and we think he can be our franchise quarterback? So Joe Shane pivoted, and Joe Shane took the best player on the board, in my opinion. Listen, Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers is a dog. Let me move to the side so you all can see him in all his glory. Malik Nabers is a dog. I mean, this dude is first day. He's going to be a game changer day one. Think of how Odell, I mean, it may not be to that extent because like that was like historical at that point. But think of how Odell changed this offense day one. That's how he's going to change this offense. May not be all the way Odell, but it will be an instant impact. I mean, as an LSU fan, I watched this guy come right into the building. He came out and immediately looked like a player. Before that, though, before he got the chance to play a bunch, he was behind Kayshon Boutte. He was behind guys like Trey Palmer. He was behind guys. He started off as that reserve kind of player, knowing that he'd eventually get his shot, and he just kept working. He just kept working. And after making some plays as a freshman, his second year he comes out and has over 1,000 yards. Kayshon Boutte was the clear number 1 receiver at that point. Kayshon had number 7, and number 7 at LSU means that you're basically like a legacy level player. Like you're a leader, you're the leader of the team, and you're that guy who gets things done, who's looked at as the best player on the team. And even in the shadow of Kayshon Boutte at that point, Malik Nabers rose quickly to be this guy, Jaden Daniels' number 1 target, who I hate to see him in Washington. But he quickly rose to be Jaden Daniels' number 1 target. And they just didn't look back. His past year, 1,500 plus yards, 14 touchdowns. Dude had an incredible season. And his game has no weakness. I mean, after the catch, some people call him Tyreek Hill-esque after the catch. I do not think he has that speed at all. But the way that Tyreek Hill can catch the ball in traffic and accelerate instantly, this is what Malik Nabers is capable of. Great after the catch. He can high point the ball. He can break tackles. He can run with power. He can run with elusiveness. He is literally the full package at receiver. He does not drop the ball a bunch. He literally has it all at receiver. So I'm excited that Malik Nabers is a giant. And I think he was the best player on the board. And I was disappointed that we didn't get a quarterback at that point. But at the same time, Malik Nabers is a crazy addition to the team. And I think he's going to be perennial Pro Bowler, all-pro caliber kind of receiver. So looking at our current wide receiving core with Malik Nabers, he's going to be our number 1. I mean, that's just a fact. You're going to have Hyatt as your number 2 or Darius Slayton as your number 2. And then you're going to have Wan'Dale Robinson. So Nabers, Hyatt, Wan'Dale, and Darius Slayton. So wherever you want to put Darius Slayton in there, that 4 to me is a great wide receiver core. I think you have everything right there. So we just got to go to work. we have got to deliver these folks the ball, which is why I wanted a quarterback. But maybe this will allow Daniel Jones to lock in a little bit more and get these guys the ball. So our next pick was Tyler Nubin. And Tyler Nubin is a guy, in my opinion, that was the best safety in the draft. He's a cover guy. He's a tackler, a big hitter. He is a ball hawk. I mean, 13 interceptions in his career is crazy. He is really good at breaking on routes, really good at reading the quarterback and knowing when to interfere and when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. So I think he's going to be a better coverage safety than Xavier McKinney was, than Landon Collins was. And again, we get another second round safety that we feel is the best safety in the draft. I mean, it always falls this way. Happened with Landon Collins, happened with Xavier McKinney, and now we got Tyler Nubin. So again, a guy who's going to bring a physical presence, a guy who's going to be a leader on this football team. I mean, just listening to his phone call when he got drafted, he's a passionate dude. He's going to bring that to the football field, and I think that he's going to be an instant leader, a guy who instantly gets the best out of his teammates, and hopefully he'll be here for a decade, and we will have had a great second-round pick. So again, he's going to be replacing Xavier McKinney. You're going to have Tyler Nubin back there. Now you're going to have Jalen Mills, not Jordan Mills, but Jalen Mills. Jason Pinnock probably starting as other safety. Javarius Owens is still that athletic guy that you have lurking in the wings. And then Dane Belton has been a turnover machine himself. So should be some interesting competition there. But I'm thinking now that our starting safeties are going to be Tyler Nubin and Jason Pinnock. So moving on to your next pick, Andru Phillips. So Andru Phillips was a guy that I mean, if you watch my reaction video, I forgot about him. Like, I just assumed that he had gotten picked because he is a guy that went to the University of Kentucky that, I mean, was a good corner and played against some really, really great wide receivers. So he battled it out. He was never really abused at that corner spot, and he can play inside. He can play outside. He's physical at the line of scrimmage. A lot of people say he can't tackle, and he does have, I think, a pretty high missed tackle percentage. But when you look at the tape, I don't know where that. I'm thinking he had some bad games because when I look at his tape, I see a guy who's not scared to tackle. I see a guy that makes a lot of great open field tackles, and a guy that plays bigger than his size. I think he's about 200 pounds, but he plays bigger than that. So I'm excited to see Andru Phillips. I think that Cordell Flott will be moving to the outside where I think he's played better in the NFL. And Cordell Flott is going to probably be your outside guy across from Deonte Banks. And then you'll probably stick Andru Phillips right in the slot. He's about 5'11". And I think him and Flott can be interchangeable there. But I'm thinking that's going to be your three starting corners, and we may add a vet. But nonetheless, I like the pick, third round pick, Andru Phillips. I think that's right about where I had him going. So moving on to my favorite pick of the draft. I mean, besides your number one pick was Malik Nabers, which is getting an LSU receiver on the squad. I love that. But next pick is Theo Johnson. And Theo Johnson is a 6'6", 260-pound beast. The guy literally looks like Jimmy Graham. He moves better than Jimmy Graham in the open field. I mean, the way he runs his routes, he runs it like a slot wide receiver. And this isn't me saying like that I think he's going to be an all-time great tight end, but he has all the tools to. He doesn't drop the ball. He has, I think, 5 drops in 4 years. So he doesn't really drop the ball that much. He's always in the right spot blocking. You know, if he needs to get to a spot, he usually gets there. When he does block, sometimes he blocks edge players and he anchors in it and actually blocks them and uses his hands and looks good doing it. So Theo Johnson is going to be a good blocker. He's a big guy. He's a fast guy. He ran a 4.57 at 260 pounds and 6'6". That is ridiculous. He has a 40-inch vertical at 6'6" and 260 pounds. And when you look at his tape, I just dropped a film session on him, so take a look at that. But when you look at his tape, he moves incredibly well, as I already said. And when he catches the ball, he is a real threat after he catches that football to make something happen. So this is what I've been looking for with a tight end. every time you throw a tight end the ball, you do not want him going down from that first guy. You're going to have a DB that's 200 pounds or 190 pounds taking down a 260-pound man. It just doesn't sit well with me. So he is going to be, I think, really great. I think he has unlimited potential. And this isn't me saying this is going to happen, folks, but I think he has literal Hall of Fame, all-time great potential just because of his size and his athleticism. But, of course, he's going to have to put it all together because he was not someone who produced a ton at Penn State, but he did produce more than some people give him credit for. He had 7 touchdowns this past season. One up the seam. He won at the line of scrimmage. He won in the short game. So he has some skill to him. He's just got to put it all together on a consistent basis. And I think hopefully he can get here and do that. So there's Theo Johnson. And then next is another really interesting pick. So Tyrone Tracy, the running back out of Purdue, who came over to Purdue from, I'm forgetting the other school now, I think Iowa, came to Purdue and was a wide receiver for 3 years at his past school. And decent wide receiver, but probably isn't going to be like a starting wide receiver in the NFL. And his coach told him, listen, you can move to running back and I think you'll have a much better shot. And since he's moved to running back, which is he's only played 1 year of running back, 1 year, he turned it on. He had a great season. I think I may be wrong, but he had I think 800 yards as his first season as a running back. Never went down in the first tackle, had a 1/3 chance. Every time someone went to tackle him, he had a 3rd chance of breaking that tackle. Elusive, runs with power, and he has that kind of power that guys bounce off of him. Like Alvin Kamara is who I'll compare him to. And this isn't me saying that he's going to be Alvin Kamara. This isn't me saying that, but that's his play style. I mean, completely. He's a wide receiver, essentially. And the way that Alvin Kamara runs, where he's running and it's physical and guys are just bouncing off of him, trying to wrap him up, and they can't. That's how he runs. So I wouldn't necessarily say that those two are power backs, but the way that they run, guys don't just bring them down easily. So Tyrone Tracy, physical guy, and also extremely elusive. I mean, and a kick returner and a punt returner. So I think he's going to provide an impact to us day one. I think he's going to be probably your spell back for Devin Singletary, and I think he'll have a shot to become our running back of the future and also be a guy in the kick and punt return game. So I'm excited about that. Great balance too. So excited to see what he does here as a 5th round pick. Hopefully he can get here and carve out a nice role for himself. So again, guys, it's a 5th round pick. So you never know, but he has a lot of great tools. And that brings us to our last pick, which was a very perplexing pick when I saw it being made, and that's Darius Muasau. And correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation. I will get it right after we get him here for a little while and I see how he pronounces his name. But not impressive as far as the physical stats. I think he's 5'11", 225 pounds, and ran like a 4.7. So not really impressive physical numbers at the combine, but a tackling machine, instinctive player, and he's probably going to be a special teamer for us. So he has a connection with one of our coaches that coached at Hawaii for a little while when he played at Hawaii. He ended up coming over from UCLA, but he played at Hawaii, and I think it's our special teams coach, and they want him to be pretty much probably a special teamer. So that's what it's looking like so far for him. It seems like we literally drafted this guy for special teams. He's got some instincts, so maybe he'll get a couple of snaps at linebacker. But I was looking to go Mekhi Wingo from LSU. I was looking to go for the defensive tackle, the 3-tech Mekhi Wingo at this pick, but instead we went with Darius. So, and it might be Darius, but I'm pretty sure it's Darius. But we ended up going there, and I wasn't the most excited about that pick, but it is what it is. And I think he'll come here and be a special teamer for us, and I think he's going to give it 100% because when I saw his interview, he looks like a guy that's dedicated, that's going to give it 1,000%, and that's the kind of guy you want on special teams. And if this guy ends up being a special teamer for us for 15 years or for 12 years or even 10 years or however many long, if he's an A special teamer, I think that is definitely well worth a 6th round pick. So that's all of our picks for this past draft. You let me know what you would grade this draft. Looking at it now, I would give this draft a B plus because the Nabers pick is an amazing pick. I wanted a quarterback, but at the same time, if you're not in love with those guys and you got Nabers who's probably graded 20, 30 picks above the guys at quarterback for you, Nabers is a great pick, and he'll just help this team so much. Even if we end up getting a guy next year, Nubin, best safety in the draft, got him in the 2nd round, and I'm pretty sure our 2nd round pick wasn't even at the top of the 2nd round. So we got that best safety in the draft, in my opinion, towards the middle 2nd half of that 2nd round, and then you got Theo Johnson. I think is a big pick for us. I think he's great value. Same thing with Andru Phillips. So I really think this draft is a solid B plus. We didn't come away with a defensive tackle, and we didn't come away with the quarterback in that 1st round, which is fine. But because we didn't get those positions, and I felt that they were positions in need, I can't go in A. But the picks that we did make, besides probably that last one for me, I think is a solid B plus. So let's see them get out there in rookie minicamp. You'll get to see Andrew Donalds and Malik Nabers going at it. So that should be a fun time. But you guys let me know what you think of this past draft from Joe Shane. What grade would you give it? You made it this deep into the video. Come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.